Well, when you buy stuff used from a pawn shop, I mean, it rolled over, it laid right side up, which is fine. Good afternoon, everybody, and how is everybody doing? I hope everybody is having a great Easter weekend thus far. Today I'm going to be working on the truck again, so it's finally going to go back in the truck. Got coat of paint on everything. I missed a couple of spots back in here that I got to get touched up. I just want to put a little bit of tape over that label there that has the part number and stuff like that on it, so I just kind of want to save that. As you remember, I cleaned everything up and just wanted to paint it, so it turned out pretty good. It looks, you know, good enough to be underneath the truck. So gonna put that back in the truck today. I do have the throwout bearing that I need to get it put on along with the crutch fork. The washer is removed. Input shaft and collar is all cleaned up. Need to put a thin film of grease on that, and then some grease on the splines on the input shaft, and this a little bit for the the bearing there. So gonna get that in the truck hopefully today. I also said that I was going to be putting the fuel tank back in last time. I'm actually glad I did not put that back in, because the way my transmission has to go in and out of my truck, it would have been in the way. So I'm glad that I did not put it in after I got thinking about it. I did put the starter in, got it all hooked up. And once again, we do have more stuff removed from the truck. So I took the valve cover off. I'm gonna be having that powder coated to match the other stuff that I'm gonna be having done. So hopefully that stuff will be back next Friday. I did say it was supposed to be back yesterday, but it did not. They called me and said the powder that I picked out, the color was contaminated. So they had to order more of the color that I wanted because it was contaminated with some metallic, and I don't want any metallic in the color that I picked out. So gonna be another week on powder coat because they have to order the powder, then they got to get it, you know, sprayed and baked and everything. So I went ahead and took the valve cover off and took that to them. That way that can be done too. So hopefully that stuff will be back Friday and we can finally fire the truck up and drive it next weekend. I'm hoping, being this is Easter weekend, I do have some things planned with the family, so we're gonna go do some things later on today. So my goal is to just basically get the transmission back in the truck, even if the tail shaft is set on jack stands. I got to get some new bolts for the cross member. I did get my new transmission mount put on. Other than that, this is what the old one was. If you remember when we took it out of the truck, the rubber was all ripped. So just picked up a new one. I think it was like, it was less than $20, so it was just a good idea. You know, that's the original, so it's got 200,000 miles on it too. So other than that, get that put back in the truck and go from there. I'm gonna take and roll it outside. I see some spots that I missed. It's bare, so throw some black on it. And then the way it's sitting on the jack there, I can't get everything sprayed. So after it's in, I'll just spray the bottom of that when it's hanging from the motor, and then also sitting on the cross member, or just have it sit on the jack stand and spray the rest of the bottom side of the transmission. So without further ado, let's get started. So I think we're finally ready to go back in the truck. I have the trans positioned the way I want it, about as level as I can get it right now. I am gonna take and let the back end of the truck down. I just set the jack stand under there while I was under there messing around, pulling the alignment tool out, and then also putting in the throw out bearing and clutch fork assembly. So put a little thin film of grease on the input shaft, and I believe, like I said, we're all ready to marry this back together. So we'll see how things go. Well, when you buy stuff used from a pawn shop, you should probably check the nuts on everything. I was tilting my transmission over to get it aligned to start recording, and it tipped off, and I mean, it rolled over, it laid right side up, which is fine. Just a little bit of paint missing, not a big deal whatsoever, whatever. But now I've got to manhandle this myself and get it back on the jack. So yeah, and it's in the stone. The truck can't be moved. So what I think I'm gonna do is take my floor jack the front of the truck up, move it over, and either take the transmission jack that I made over there, or take my creeper and put it on my creeper and roll it around over to here so I can get it put back on a jack and get it put in the truck. So I guess that's what you get when you're doing things by yourself. It's always setbacks. So I guess while I figure this one out, I'm gonna have to take a short break. What I'm talking about is these nuts right inside there have set screws on them, so you can only turn it so far. That set screw should be tightened so that nut can't turn off. So with the weight of the transmission on it, it was up against this pin and the nut was turning when it's supposed to just pivot in that section, and then this bar here is threaded to change the pitch of your transmission. Well, that set screw that's on that backside nut was loose, and it come off and it allowed the transmission jack to roll over that way, and that's where it laid. So luckily it's right side up and transmission fluid's not running out of it. So yay me. Okay, well that was fun. So the way I was able to do that by myself was I took the top portion off my stool, which is right there, and then come on that side of this side of the truck, lifted the transfer case up and put it on the stool, and then maneuvered it around, and then took a ratchet strap, put it under the bell housing, and then hooked it on the seat right there and ratcheted it up, and then rolled my creeper up underneath it, along with making a mess of transmission fluid, and was able to roll it underneath the truck to the other side. So now all I have to do is get it back on the jack. So nothing's never ever as easy as it appears. So fun times. So now I gotta get that back on the truck. Ran into my mirror. Got a big gouge on top of my head. Yeah. It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. Won't you be mine? Let's see. How am I gonna do this now? So I guess I'm gonna have to go grab, a friend of mine has a cherry picker, an engine lift, so I can go grab it, lift it up, and then roll my stand back underneath of it and set it down. So I guess I'm gonna have to go borrow that engine hoist and use it to set it back up on the jack, because there's no way I can lift that back up there by myself. All right, so we are now headed for take 2. I did get it back up on the jack. I was able to set the, I was just able to lift it back up on there one end at a time, had my son help me. I was able to get the front part, I was able to get the transmission up on the jack and then use that as like a fulcrum, kind of like this pair of pliers here. It was sitting like this. I was able to use it as a fulcrum and then push it down, and then my son set the floor jack under there and set it back down, blah, blah, blah. Hallelujah, we got it. Oh my goodness, oh my goodness. So anyway, everything is back under there again, just like it was. Truck's set down. Now I just need to start jacking the jack up to put the transmission back in place. Well, today is a new day, and I was just so frustrated last night, and I just shut everything off after I said everything's back in place. So I went and had lunch or supper with my family, and happy Easter to everybody. As you can see right there, it is in the truck. I come out here this morning before I did anything, before I turned the camera on. I just worked at getting the transmission back in the truck, and it is in. So the way I did it was I jacked up the back of the truck, set it on jack stands, and then I put a block and a wood, and my bottle jack right underneath the edge of the motor right there in front of the oil pan, and adjusted the pitch of the engine. Got everything lined up, put a couple of bolts in there, pulled her forward, put the transmission in four-wheel drive, or the transfer case in four-wheel drive, so I could spin the input shaft and get the splines lined up. So we are in, and now I'm working on getting the cross member put in. I've got the tail shaft or the transfer case sitting on a bottle jack right now, so I can lift that up and down as needed, or side to side, whatever I need. So now I'm just going to get the cross member in and get it bolted up. And today is Easter, so that probably will be just about all I get done today. So like I said, I did not put the fuel tank in because I had to lift the back of the truck up as far as I could and bring the bell housing right through this notch right here. So I'm actually glad that I did not put the fuel tank in like I said I was going to the other day. So bottom part of the transmission is painted and transfer case, so everything's painted up, looks nice. Just everything needs cleaned under here really bad. So gonna have to do an underbody wash like I have done in the past before I crown the truck. So anyway, that's where I'm at right now. The transmission jack, man, I cannot talk today. The transmission jack did work out pretty good. Other than that little snafu, you know, I gotta check and tighten up that set screw that's on this nut here. One thing I'm going to do, this is 1/4" plate steel is what this is, and that's bent in a 90. I'm going to get, and then these spin around, you know, all over the place like this. What I'm also going to do with this jack is I'm gonna make this side like this side. So I'm going to take and I'm going to cut these off right here, and then I'm going to weld and get some of these bent up because I don't have the ability to bend 1/4" plate. So I'm going to get, I believe this is 4" if I'm not mistaken. So I'm just going to have a couple of pieces bent up in a 90 just like that, and then cut this off and weld that on there or something like that, and then pick up some tires just like this. If I can't find tires like this, I'll just get 4 new ones. It's not that big of a deal. So other than that, the jack worked out pretty good. That, you know, it's actually a motorcycle jack that I turned into a transmission jack. So I'm just gonna make them a few changes for the next time that I have to use it, whether it be on my truck or somebody else's vehicle, this way that I can move it all around without having to steer it per se, you know, because only one set of tires will move 360 degrees. So other than that, it worked out pretty good. Well, the transmission is in and resting over on top of actually the cross member. Got everything lined up pretty good. So I think I've already said this, but oh well. I'm sorry for the lack of footage. I know that I try and do how-to videos and help you guys out, but I just wanted to get it in, not worry about hitting record, and just get it done. I was getting frustrated after yesterday, so we all have those days. Next order of business is spending the rest of the day getting all of this junk picked up. I am missing one of my drift pins. I cannot find it. I wanted to use it. I have tools laying all over the place. So the rest of today, as short as it's going to be because it is Easter, is going to be getting everything cleaned up and out of the way. So and put back, and then when I need something, I'll just grab it again. So I still do have a lot of work to do yet before I can start the truck up. I'm waiting on powder coat is the main thing, and then I do want to do some more stuff under here. I'm going to be doing my valve lash, and that'll be a video so you guys can see that. And what I'll just set the camera over in here someplace. Basically, you take your crankcase breather off right here, you turn your engine over, there's a notch on the washer for your VP44 shaft. And a lot of guys will take and put a socket on the alternator and turn it over that way. I do have a boring tool, but, well, yeah, I do have a boring tool. I need to install it yet. It is gonna go on the front of the harmonic balancer. I was just waiting to do that because there was really no way up front for me to lock the engine in place. So what I want to do is, after my drive shaft's in and stuff like that, put the truck in gear and I'll be able to torque that back down to specs, because I believe the harmonic balancer is 101 foot-pounds also. I'll have to double check on that because I'm not 100% certain. So as always, guys, I have a lot more work to do. Powder coat is still a week out, like I had said. I believe yesterday, because this is a continuation of yesterday. Yeah, you get it. Anyway, guys, I appreciate you watching so very much. Like always, I do have links in the description for my logo wear Hot Shots secret. You can pick up their merchandise there. So anyway, guys, I appreciate you watching. Thank you very much. Give me a thumbs up, hit that like button, subscribe if you have not already done so. We will talk to you later on. Bye-bye.